Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Minds podcast, where we bring you the raw and unfiltered stories of founders that are building bold businesses, taking big risks, and redefining what's possible. I'm Vaidehi, your host, and today we're here to learn from the journey of Cherie Kihato. She is the founder and CEO of Savannah Space. And Savannah Space is a brand that creates unique, high-quality home decor and furniture pieces, all proudly made in Kenya. This season, we're bringing you the roller coaster journey of African entrepreneurs. The wins, the losses, the 1% better every In the Entrepreneurial Minds podcast, we highlight stories that are bold, raw, relatable, unfiltered, courageous, and inspiring. I'm Vaidehi, and I'm the host of the Entrepreneurial Minds podcast. Cherie.
Thank you, Vi. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Me too. Yeah. Super excited to be here. I feel like this has been a long time coming, especially, and this is really special because we went to Sheffield together.
We did.
So I was doing the math and we've known each other for like 11 years now, which is
I can't believe university was 11 years ago.
I know. It's really wild.
Aging us.
We're sadly. But what's really exciting is like we knew each other before careers were even thought about, I guess, in that moment. Yeah. And I'm excited to kind of unpack that entire journey from like university to here, all of the decisions that you made to get to where you are today.
Yeah.
So to kick us off, why don't you tell us who Cherie was before Savannah Space?
Cherie before Savannah Space was a young woman in her early 20s trying to figure things out. You know, was someone who thought, I'm going to get into corporate NGO work and it's going to be a nice cushiony journey. Cherie before Savannah Space was a little bit lost, a little bit trying to figure it out. Yeah. But I guess at that age, that's what you're meant to be. So.
Exactly. Like I look back and I was like, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I remember I was thinking about what did you study in university? And I was really trying to like figure that out and whether it was related to like design or any of that. But it wasn't, right? You studied politics and philosophy at Sheffield. Yeah. You mentioned a little bit what you were thinking you were getting, what you thought you would kind of get into. But tell me a little bit about, I think like we graduated summer 2017. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And then you came back and started Savannah Space later in 2018.
Yes.
So what were you doing? What was that in-between period like? What were you doing? What were you thinking? What were you questioning yourself about? Like, talk us through that year.
Yeah, I did politics and philosophy. So I thought I was going to get into NGO, corporate kind of world. So I moved back home and I started applying. And I applied for this internship at a German corporation. It was a new program and they were supporting tech startups in Africa. So I applied for that role. I think they had like 6,000 applicants or something. Wow. Yeah. And then I ended up getting it. And I was like, yeah, this is now the start of my journey. This is it. And so I started the internship. And again, it was a new program. So we were only two of us. It was me and pretty much my boss. And we were setting up that whole program. So I was thinking, yeah, of course, you know, after this internship, I'm going to get the full-time position. I pretty much helped set the systems up of this program. And then so I applied for the full-time position after the 6-month internship. And they told me, hey, you actually we're not going to go with you because you need 3 years experience to become to get the junior role.
Wow.
So I was like, okay,
what was the point
of the internship?
Yeah.
And the junior role was pretty much exactly what I was doing as an intern because it was a new program.
Right.
Just with a better salary. Yeah. So I just went home trying to figure out, you know, what's my next move? Because I think I'm the type of person who, at least at that point, I had become the type of person who always has to have something that they're doing.
Sure.
Very active, I didn't want to stay idle.
Yeah.
Furniture was never in my mind before that. Yeah. But I went home journaling and the idea came. You're going to start a furniture brand called Savannah Space. It's going to be made in Kenya. Okay, sawa. Let me.
I love that.
Yeah. And literally, that's how it started.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think like for the people that are discovering Savannah Space for the first time, walk us through exactly what it is.
Yeah. So Savannah Space curates and manufactures home decor and furniture in Kenya. We make really high quality, really high end, unique and eclectic pieces. One of our biggest roles at Savannah Space is to tell a story through our furniture.
Right.
So it's not just functional furniture, but it's functional art that represents both Kenya and Africa as a whole.
I love that. And I think you always talk about like the people on your team and how, and the lives that you're impacting. So I know when you started, you probably started with a couple of people on the team, right? Tell us about how. No?
Yeah, because the initial model for Savannah Space was a platform.
Okay.
Where artisans who make, things for the home can sell their pieces.
Okay.
So that was the initial model. I just wanted to be a platform.
Right.
I remember I was talking to my mom and she's like, you need to find a way to get your brand known.
Yeah.
So you should probably have a pop-up market. So I started with pop-up markets because the pop-up markets are pretty much an in-person platform.
Right.
I did the first pop-up market and we had about 250 people.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, okay.
How did that happen?
Marketing, social media.
Yeah.
Social media is incredibly important. I
Yes.
think one of the talents I've learned along the way is how to grow my social media. Most people came because of social media. And also we were the only pop-up market at that time that focused on home things.
Right.
All the other pop-up markets, they were amazing, but there was an array of things: fashion, jewelry, home,
Yeah.
We were the only ones who said, if you're looking for furniture and home decor and if you want to support local, this is the pop-up for you. So the first one had about 250 people and I was like, okay, not bad. Not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The first one. Yeah.
And then the second one, because I had evidence of the first one,
Yeah.
I was able to get sponsors for it, which meant more money for marketing, more budget for, more vendor spaces.
Right.
The second one, we had about 800 people.
That's incredible.
And I was like, whoa, okay, there's a market
Yeah.
here. People are
Yeah.
willing to support local.
My next question was like, what was the moment when you realized Savannah Space was a thing? Like, okay, this is it.
a
But
thing.
I guess one of these
Yeah, I think it
pop-ups
was
was
that
really
second
the
pop-up.
pivotal moment.
Yeah.
I remember actually, I don't know if you remember this, but me and Medha is our mutual friend, came to one of the pop-ups
remember.
at Jacaranda.
Yeah.
Was that the first one or the second one? Or was that like super early into the journey? I'm not sure.
I think you came to the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, this is incredible. There were so many people. You got a really big space. And it's great that you were able to get those sponsorships as well from like, the second pop-up onwards.
Yeah.
What were some of those conversations like? Because I imagine it can be quite difficult with like, hey, I've only done one pop-up and I would like you to take a leap of faith on me for my next one.
Yeah. I had contacts from these companies because of the work I did at the German corporation. So again, the program was supporting tech startups.
Right.
So I knew people in the startup scene.
Okay.
I remember I created some sort of a proposal. It was like a concept note of something. And I said, I've already done one pop-up.
Yeah.
And this many people came to the first one. I want to do more. I want to support local. And I remember the two people that I asked to sponsor, the first two people were Hiva Fund, which they're a fund that specifically focuses on people in the creative sector.
Okay.
Again, I heard about them from the program that I worked for.
Yeah.
And then also Safaricom, because it was around the time when Safaricom was really about supporting Made in Kenya. That was the thing. That was the that was the brand positioning of Safaricom. And yeah, again, I had made contacts. And so I went and I presented and I said, hey, you guys are all about Made in Kenya, supporting local.
Yeah.
Here's a pop-up that's all about supporting local.
Right.
And again, also the vendors who are at the pop-up, they all use the Safaricom products,
Yeah.
When they're using
Yeah.
M-Pesa. Yeah. So I kind of positioned my concept note to them as, this event is going to be beneficial to you. It's going to be a good idea to have your name at this event. Yeah. After I think 1 or 2 meetings with each of them, I think I got the first check from Hiva. That's the first check I ever received ever. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. This is, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm onto something.
Yeah, literally. I mean, an outside organization has paid
Sure.
me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like the learning there is always ensuring you're showing the other party what's in it for them.
Yeah.
Sometimes we really forget to do that. It's all about like us and what we're building and where it can take us.
Yeah.
But like really taking a step back and showing them that like, hey, these are the benefits for you.
Yeah, I think that's the best way if you want to get any sort of funding or any form of connection. But I mean, we're human beings ultimately.
Yeah.
The other party, they have to see the benefit for them, and you have to position whatever it is that you're going after in that way.
Walk us through kind of the journey of a Savannah Space piece from like idea to finished product. What does that process look like?
So it's not a very linear process, I would say. It usually starts off either with an idea that I have and then I draw a simple sketch, or with a conversation that I have with some of our carpenters, where from a previous piece, we look at it and we say, oh, we can kind of make something else from this.
Right.
So it involves a lot of conversation with the carpenters that we work with. And then, we sketch it up, we draw it up, and then we start the prototype. And by that, it means what sort of wood should we use for this piece? Because some woods can make certain pieces, others can't. Some would look good, others won't. Once, the first prototype is done, how does it look? Is there anything we need to change? If it's a chair, is it comfortable? Usually 1 or 2 iterations. And then, we release it.
How do you test the longevity of a product? Because I feel like with furniture, you want to ensure it lasts long, right? And the quality does not diminish. So how do you go through that process?
So this all comes down to the carpentry practices that we use. And all of this I've learned through talking to the carpenters that we work with.
Right.
So for example, making sure that the wood we use is dry, making sure that the carpentry practices, for example, in my workshop, we don't use any nails. All our furniture is made without nails. It's just traditional joinery. And, nails rust over time.
Yeah.
They're not that good for wood. When it comes to our chairs, for our sofas, we do use some screws and a few nails. But when it comes to our chairs, our tables, our consoles, there is no nail. It's just joinery. And that assures longevity of the product.
That's incredible. I didn't even know that. How involved you are in that design process, because when you're a smaller team, it's obviously that you're constantly involved and you're, I guess, owning that design process.
Yeah.
Has that changed the more you've grown your business?
Not at all. I'm still heavily involved in the design process, but it's important for me to say that I don't design the pieces alone.
Right.
The carpentry team, the finishing team, the varnishing team, the sanding team, we all play a role in the design of a piece. So for example, maybe something has been constructed and our lead varnisher, maybe I've said, okay, this should be this color.
Yeah.
And then our lead varnisher will come and say, no, I think it would look better in this varnish.
Okay.
So it's so collective.
Yeah.
I can't take ownership of the whole design process, but I am heavily involved.
Sure. Okay. So a very collaborative process.
Very
which is
much.
great.
Yeah.
And what's like the largest number of iterations you've done for a product to be like, okay, now this is the perfect product?
I remember there's a dining chair we were making for a client, and this is the last custom dining chair we did for an individual client where we're not making multiples of seats. I remember to get the seat right, I think we made them 4 samples and the 5th one is the one that they went with. It reached a point where monetarily we weren't making money from that sale anymore. It was just a thing of, you know what, even for us, maybe we can add it to our catalog after. Let's just get it right.
Yeah.
But that's the last custom dining chair that we're making for individual, where it's not multiple pieces.
Yeah, exactly. Did you have, I guess from that, was your strategy more to continue doing custom, or is there a point where you've realized actually custom might not be the best way to scale a business? I don't know.
Yeah. So I realized this probably a year ago.
Yeah.
But we weren't ready to stop custom because it was still, maybe 2 years ago I realized this.
Okay.
It was still a big part of our business where people were coming in and they had a piece that they wanted and, and also our catalog was still growing.
Exactly, yeah.
So 2 years ago, I knew that at some point we're going to have to transition, but we weren't there yet. Yeah. And then last year, we did a survey of the previous year's orders and we found that only, I think it was about 15% of our sales were custom. We had built our catalog big enough where most of our pieces for B2C, most of our pieces were catalog pieces. And so we decided to take that leap and say that for B2C, we won't do custom.
Sure.
We still open custom for B2B because they tend to, have multiple orders.
Yeah.
And then also we'll have 2 windows every year where we're taking in custom orders.
Oh, that's an interesting strategy. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. Because we don't want to close it off completely.
Yeah.
But we want to at least be able to maintain our, how we're scaling.
Sure.
And then also we do still offer option. So if somebody likes a sideboard, but maybe they want it in a different color, a different wood, different configuration, then we can customize it in that sense.
Okay, so there's still an element of customization.
Still an element, yeah.
Which is great. And I think the really cool part about custom in the very early days is, yes, like you said, building your catalog and doing things that you haven't necessarily thought about.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of creative ideas in that sense.
And also, if we think about it practically, it's a business ultimately. As much as it's a business in the arts, it's a business. We needed that cash flow to be able to grow, you know? So for us to create our beautiful catalog pieces, we need cash.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And the state of your business today is most of your orders coming from B2B or B2C?
Most of our orders still come from B2C, but the B2B orders just make up for a large chunk. Yeah. So if it's one B2B, you know, the amount that they're buying can be the equivalent of 12, 13 people.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the ticket size is much larger.
Much larger.
And are you intentionally kind of focusing on the B2B space as well, or is it more inbound?
It's more inbound. In fact, all the B2B we've done has been inbound, but now I want us to a little bit more out there in terms of B2B, especially boutique hotels, tented camps. I love doing those projects because it's all about design.
Right.
And it's fun for me. It's fun for the workshop team.
Yeah. That's amazing. And the reason I asked the inbound versus outbound question is because you've built such a strong brand, I think for Savannah Space, but also personally, right? But we can talk about Savannah Space. And I think from the very first statement that you made, you talked about like how social media marketing is so important, right? Today, Savannah Space has grown to like 58,000 followers on Instagram. I don't know if you have more on TikTok, but like, it's great that you have such a big following. Has that been intentional from the moment you started?
Yes. I think we started at a time where social media wasn't taken as seriously as today. It was taken seriously, but not as much as today. But I really saw the window with the power of social media. Number one, at that point, it was the cheapest form of marketing.
Right.
You know, billboards, newspaper ads, those are really expensive.
Yeah.
And
not trackable.
Yeah. And I find social media fun as well. So from the get, my strategy in terms of marketing was I need to focus on social media. Number one, I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
Number two, it's affordable as well.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it really helps that you're really good at it. Because I feel like every time I think about social media, I'm like, oh my God, like, how am I going to do this? Versus like, I enjoy building the business or like the other aspect of things. But like, part of me is always like, I wish I really enjoyed
social media.
And that's why I want to kind of switch gears to your personal brand, which is also great because you've built a following of over 50K on your personal brand. And you can tell you enjoy social media. Like, I really also like engage with your content, right? I think it's so authentic. It's so real, which I really like about it. Was there a pivotal moment when you realized Savannah Space has grown to like this following? But I think it's also important for me to build a personal brand, or was it more like a passion project?
I wasn't on social media for years before I started my personal brand page.
Right.
The last time I was on social media, maybe I was 16. So I wasn't on it through university. I wasn't on any form of social, maybe Twitter for a bit, but then even that I closed.
Right.
And as Savannah Space was growing, people were telling me, yeah, maybe you should have a personal one. And I was like, no, it's not really for me. It's just not for me. And then at some point, I really wanted a challenge that would make me extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to open a personal social media page and I'm going to talk about what it's like to grow Savannah Space.
Yeah.
Number one, it'll get me out of my comfort zone because it's just, even now, there's sometimes I'm just like, I want to delete this page. But also number two, there's not much information about building brands, especially manufacturing brands in Kenya or in Africa. There's not many people who you can, benchmark. So I was like, you know what, this could also help people who want to build, who want to start. I could also give the information, share the mistakes I made, share the lessons I learned. And also, I love social media. So I was like, it's also a hobby. I love editing videos. I love taking them. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I can vouch for your pages. I absolutely love them. I was looking at recently at one of your stories, and you talked about how last year in January you set this goal of I want to get to 50K followers by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And you looked at that again in December, and you had surpassed those 50K followers. Of course, you love what you're doing, right? And I think that translates to following. But like, are there any practical tips that you can give people that are trying to build a personal brand that actually helped you achieve this?
Yeah.
We can all set goals, right? But I think there are little things that we do to actually get there.
Yeah.
What were those for you?
Number one is organization. I'm quite a type A person, I think, especially when it comes to work. So organization plays a big role. Have a content calendar. Write down what content that you want to film this week, next week, this month, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be super specific because, again, you want to be authentic, but have some form of a calendar where you know what you're doing. Number two is be authentic. There's no one else who's like you, so don't try to be like anybody else.
Yeah.
Because I think, especially on social media, people can see fakeness, people can see lack of authenticity.
Right.
So that's huge. Do a lot of research.
Right.
And by that, I don't mean try and copy other people's form of social media, because I make that mistake sometimes where I look and see, oh, I should do that. This person's doing that.
Yeah.
That's not what I mean, but do a lot of research on this person is maybe making similar content to what I want to make. What works for them?
Right.
And then maybe you can pick out one or two things. ChatGPT or AI is your friend.
Yes. I think we all know by now.
Yeah.
Yes. How did you realize what social media you wanted to double down on? Honestly, I'm not on TikTok. So I don't know if you're on TikTok, but like I know you're heavily on Instagram. How did you define, okay, this is where I want to focus?
In terms of the social media platform?
In terms of the social media platform, exactly.
So I started on TikTok.
Okay.
Because I was like, TikTok is not serious at all.
Yeah.
TikTok is fun. You know, people show up in their pajamas. Like, it's just a good time.
Right.
It's like, for someone who wasn't on social media for so long, let me start somewhere where it's more free, it's more relaxed. So that's why I started on TikTok. And then, again, I wanted to challenge myself. So I thought, you know what, I shouldn't be afraid of being seen. I think I had that fear for quite some time. And Instagram, you're seen. I feel like a lot of people are on Instagram, active. But I said, you know what, let me not have this fear of being seen. Let me just try Instagram. And also, it's a really powerful platform. It's extremely powerful.
Yeah.
So then I moved to Instagram as well.
You talk about how powerful Instagram is. Yeah. Can you give me like an example of like a really great thing that happened through Instagram that you were like, yes?
Yeah. The reach that we get.
Yeah.
So, even from my content in particular, we've been able to ship a few things out of Kenya, a few pieces of furniture to Canada, Spain, because of people found us on my Instagram. We've had 2 people at 2 different occasions buy our whole shop, our whole entire stock in our showroom, because I think they found us on TikTok actually.
Yeah.
But they found us on TikTok through my page and they were like, oh, I love their furniture. They came in and 2 people on different occasions bought all the stock. We've had exposure. We're about to be featured on another news channel. A lot of opportunity just from social media.
Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah. Social media is definitely like huge, I think.
Huge.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about is you did this really powerful series on social media. Firstly, Savannah Space turned 7 last year, right? So congratulations on that. In relation to that, you did this series of 7 glow-ups in 7 years. Yeah. I want to talk about the most unglamorous ones. The first one I want to talk about is the one where you, I think, were given 1 month notice to leave your showroom.
Yeah.
Please.
How many months before that? Maybe 6 or 7 months before that, I had just opened our first Savannah Space showroom, which is like a shack that I had built.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was starting. Things were going well. We were getting customers. Our socials were growing. You know, we were getting traction.
Yeah.
And then one day the county government said, because it was in a neighborhood, I had built a shack in like a law firm that was in a house.
Right.
So I'd used the garden to build a shack. And prior to that, that was okay. The county government was okay with it. But then they came and said, hey, the Residents Association of this area have come together. They said, we don't want shops here. They allow commercial. So offices are okay. I think schools were okay, but they don't want retail.
Right.
You've got a month. And I remember it was my landlady who told me.
Yeah.
My landlady was my aunt, thank God. But she was like, hey, I can't fight the county government on this.
Right.
Yeah, a month I went home and I was like, okay, I was ready to close actually, because I'm like, I'm not doing this. Now I have to look for I'm not doing all of this. And then my other aunt, because at that point I was living with her, she saw me and she was like, I was crying and she's like, what's wrong? And I told her, and she said, hey, I know this place in Lavington Mall. I saw that it's been empty for so long. Let's go. And she threw me in the car and she's like, let's go and see it. And that became the showroom that we're in now.
The reason I started this podcast as well is like to share these type of stories, the behind the scenes stories, because everything looks like overnight success, but it's just not. And I feel like we want enough people talking about those unglamorous experiences because that's the hard truth.
Yeah.
Right? The other one was when you were supposed to move into your workshop.
Yeah.
And it flooded.
Flooding. Oh my God.
I saw the pictures of that. I was like, oh
no, it was ridiculous. But I don't even see that as a negative. I see that as that experience as incredibly positive because of the outcome.
Right.
Because it was the day we were moving in that we saw, I'm talking about a 20-foot high workshop that was completely underwater. When I saw that, I called the landlord or the agent, the landlord company, and I was like, hey, I'm on my way to collect my deposit check back, just letting you know, because I didn't even have time to be in shock.
Yeah.
All I was thinking was, you need to get your money back. Everybody here is going to be asking for their money. You need to be first in line. So immediately I called them and I said, hey, I'm on my way. Just, make sure the check is ready. And they're like, yeah, it's fine. We're writing it right now. Got the check, deposited it. It reflected the same day, the exact same day, which is so rare.
Yeah.
So I don't see it as a negative because, we didn't move in.
Right.
Imagine if we had picked the day before to move in.
Right.
We got our money back, which I was able to find another space, which was cheaper, much better location. So I don't find it a negative. It was just a jarring thing. Where I was like, I did not sign up to be in floods.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Can you imagine just like driving? Well, you can imagine you went through it, but like driving to this place and it's underwater.
And I had never seen, you don't realize how severe floods are.
Yeah.
But a tall building to be completely submerged is just something else.
Yeah. I believe maybe at that point you had gone through so many other negative experiences that you powered through that in this one, it was just like, correction more than like, hey, I want to shut the business down. It's like, actually, we've been through worse.
Yeah.
How do I get my money back and just like control the situation? Yeah. Are there any other big kind of moments that you want to talk about and share with people that are listening?
Goodness, what other big moments? The thing is I feel like business, I shouldn't use the word death, but it is kind of death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
So it's not always the big moments that are so demoralizing. It's even sometimes those small moments where maybe sales are low and cash flow is not the best, or maybe orders are going wrong or orders are delayed and clients are unhappy, or things are going on with the team where maybe they've gone through personal issues and, of course that has to affect you. So it's these small things that kind of add up.
Yeah.
And when we go into business, you never realize how many, first of all, issues that can come to you. And then how many unexpected issues. So even like issues with the team. As a founder, you're in charge, these people look up to you. You're kind of the vision bearer. So when something goes wrong with someone on your team, you are affected. And as founders, we don't realize that people management or people empathy or dealing with people is such a big part of the role. So those are some of the moments where it's like, oh, this is a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
I like that and I completely understand. And I think it's also like all of these things are not necessarily unexpected, but can come at any point, right? And sometimes you're just constantly dealing with one small thing versus the other that starts to add up. Yeah. Just switching gears a little bit now to something that you mentioned earlier is like how you started with the pop-up markets, right? And I've started to see also, you were at the most recent or like one of the few recent pop-ups as well, but you talked very openly about not wanting to do pop-ups going forward, and that's not part of your strategy. Why is that? And can you tell people how like pop-ups in Kenya have evolved over the years?
I think, when pop-ups, even 3 years ago, they were very much about showing the artisanal side of Kenya. They were community-based. They had more of a heart to them in that sense, where the purpose of the pop-ups really was to showcase what the artisanal things that are going on in this country. And I think that's changed a little bit, where a lot of the pop-ups are now a little bit more commercial. They sometimes accept brands that are not even locally made or importers, you know? So the heart of that has kind of gone. And then also, you know, not to place all the blame on the pop-ups, as a brand, we're getting more known. So before, the pop-ups would also help in terms of reaching new people.
Yeah.
If you've never heard of us, you could find us at the pop-up. But now our brand is really growing, where we're going to pop-ups and people already know about us. So they already know where our showroom is, they've been or are planning to come. So in terms of even business-wise, it didn't seem to spend so much money on that. And so I decided that, you know what, not for forever. So let's pause on the pop-ups and let's find a way to have more client-facing experiences that are a little bit more personal to Savannah Space, where we can have that personal relationship with our clients. We can reach new clients, but it's something that we can curate ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And I guess just because you've had so much experience with these pop-ups, if you were to identify like what types of brands do you think would still benefit from pop-ups?
Definitely newer brands.
Yeah.
Okay. So the cost of pop-ups is expensive.
Yeah.
Because also don't forget, you're not only paying for the space, you have to create products, there's transport, there's entry, there's a lot. Yeah. But if you are a newer brand and you want to reach out to people, especially for product companies where people might need to touch and feel your pieces, pop-ups will work really well for you. The pop-ups they do bring in a lot of people. So if you want new eyes on your brand, then it's still suggested. What I would say is be a little bit selective about the pop-ups that you want to do. Make sure you do your research, talk to other brands who've taken part, and find out what pop-up would work best for your product. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And I want to ask you this next question because I get asked it a lot and I would love to throw it back to you. Do you sometimes feel underestimated because either of your gender or because of your age? And how do you navigate that?
Yeah, there have been a few moments where I've been underestimated because of my gender and sometimes even because of my race, to be honest. In terms of gender, it's mostly sometimes suppliers may not want to take me seriously because you're just this young woman who, what do you know about? You know, sometimes they can try to cheat you.
Right.
How I deal with it is I just ignore it, which maybe that's not a long-term solution, but I'm so focused on the vision that I have for Savannah Space that one guy who's selling me wood, who thinks, you know, you're a woman, whatever, it's not really going to stop me from doing what I want to do. It also helps that the people I work with at Savannah Space, whether it's at the workshop, the showroom, even a lot of the suppliers that we do have, they don't have that bias where it's like, oh, I'm not going to take you seriously as a woman. No, I'm surrounded by some incredible people, especially the people at the workshop as well. My race sometimes, because we live in Kenya, and as much as, you know, we're in Africa and technically I'm the majority, there's still that context of racism in this country. Yeah. So I have experienced it, but again, I do ignore it, which that doesn't solve the problem, but I'm just too focused on the vision to think about it, you know? Sure. And hopefully more people, and that's what I really want. I want more Africans and Black Africans as well to get into the luxury scene.
Yeah.
It's really difficult because it also requires capital, but the more of us that are there, the less of that, you know, racial undertone or whatever will be present.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think like as we're starting to just talk about your journey, I know a huge piece of it is being a solo founder. Mm-hmm. That can really demand a lot from you, both emotionally and physically. How do you deal with that?
Number one, I wouldn't recommend being a solo founder. I would not recommend being a solo founder. Yeah. Honestly, it is a lot, especially in manufacturing. It is in any business, honestly, it is a lot. How I handle it is I have an incredible team. I mean, there was a time toward the end of 2024, I was really ill, really, really ill to the point where I couldn't even leave the house. And I work in product, so I need to be at the workshop. I need to be, you know, client facing. But my team rallied so much where it was like, okay, they divided roles. This person will go to the workshop. This person will this, to the point where I was able to stay home, rest, and, you know, recover. So I would say what matters a lot is the team that you have. Yeah. your team will make or break your company. So you have to be really selective about who you put on your team, and B, you have to treat your team really well, because ultimately we're all human beings. We're all trying our best. If you hire good people, there's no one in the company who's going to be like, what can I do today to fail the company?
Yeah.
Everybody is pretty much trying their best, and you have to treat people in that way. So yeah, if you are a solo founder, rely heavily on your team and pick a good team. Yeah.
I really like that. That's so important. What are some like practical tips that you could give to people in terms of like hiring and hiring a solid team?
So make sure there's a probation period, because sometimes things don't work out. It's not even that they're a bad person. Maybe you just don't gel. So make sure you have a probation period so that you can, you understand the person who's joining your team. Be honest with whoever is joining your company about the stage that your company is in. Don't overpromise. We're going to give you X. We're going to give you benefits. No. Be honest. This is the stage we're in, so that they can have a choice on whether they want to join or not. If you have a retail space, I would highly recommend hiring from hospitality. That's a very strategic thing that I did, because people who work, and I think everybody should at some point in their life work in hospitality. I remember I did waitressing in university. It teaches you so much about humans, and when you work in hospitality, you meet so many different people. So you've met the best of the best and the worst of the worst. So when it comes to being either a customer service or being a showroom manager or sales manager, I would highly recommend hiring from hospitality.
That's great. And I think I also really relate to the transparency piece. Super important, because when you know, or when the team knows the health of the business, or like they feel like they're part of something more than just like a 9-to-5 job, right? And I feel like also that gives them the option of joining something knowing the full background of a company. And I think that's so understated and so important. I think the final topic I want to touch on is just a little bit of fundraising. You're a manufacturing business, and obviously that requires a lot of capex. Were you initially bootstrapped?
Yes. Although I did win a grant. So that's what I used to build our first collection and to build that shack, now the first showroom. So I did win a grant. Sure. And then when it came to now, moving to bigger, the first workshop move, I think, I did get a small loan, which, I quickly paid off. And then now when we wanted to grow even more, I did raise funding from venture capital. Yeah, so bootstrapped a bit, then grant, and then, funding.
Okay. It's interesting that you got a little bit of a debt line, right? In this country, loans can be really, really hard to get as a business, right? Especially if you're a new business. How did you navigate that?
Yeah. So number one, when you start your business, from the get, open your bank account. Don't do that thing. And I did that. Don't do that thing of mixing it to your personal M-Pesa with your business. I did that. I did that for like 6 months or something. Get your bank account. Start building your statements, and then also make sure you get a close relationship with your bank's relationship manager. I'm talking, you should have them on WhatsApp. If you have a question about banking, message them. Build a relationship, because they're the ones who are going to fight for you when it comes to getting a loan approval. Then keep your books neat. Whether that means hiring a part-time accountant, you can actually hire because it's just general bookkeeping when you're starting. It's not anything serious. You can hire a university student, have them part-time, or a consultant, whatever it is. Make sure your books are in order, because that matters the most. Then find out which banks have programs where you can get loans where you don't need collateral. The first loan I got to open the workshop, I didn't use any collateral, because there was a program for that bank for young women who are looking to start a business. And that's where I got it. So research, a lot of banks are actually doing this, especially for young entrepreneurs. Research on what loan structure you can get. And then the benefit of being young, you can get longer repayment periods.
Right.
So do a lot of research. But number one is that open your bank account immediately and make sure your books are in order.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you're right. Yes, there are a lot of programs for women entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs and giving them facilities without collateral. It's just a lot of the times we're not aware.
Yeah.
And typically what happens is businesses go to the bank that they're banking with, but you have options. You can still diversify. You can go to a bank that you have no history with, but
Yep.
so long as you show them your banking history with the other bank,
Yeah.
it might open up some doors.
Yeah.
For you.
Use the banks to your advantage.
Yeah. And raising those kind of funds are very different to raising VC money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like it's not typical of manufacturing companies to raise VC money. What made you make that decision? And at what point did you realize this is important?
Yeah. So the VC money that I raised wasn't equity. I'm still 100% owner of Savannah Space. And at that point, that was extremely important to me. I needed to raise with a quote unquote partner who cared about the growth of the business, not just about getting their money back. Banks, as much as they can be great, they are hardline. We just want our money back with interest.
Yeah.
We don't care about your sob story. Sometimes they do, but we just want it's about our bottom line. Yeah. I wanted some form of a partner where I could get technical advice, especially when it comes to growth of the business, and they can offer capital. So that's why I raised when I raised. Again, I didn't want an equity deal. Now I'm a bit more open to it. But that was kind of the strategy of raising VC.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on a strategic level, like, how were you able to get this technical assistance from them? And what themes did they help you on?
So the company that I raised with, they offer both capital and technical advice.
Yeah.
So, for example, if there's an issue that Savannah Space is going through, I can speak to their consultants because they have consultants on their, on their payroll pretty much, who can now assist me with them. That was extremely important because I wanted a company that would grow with Savannah Space and was invested in the growth of Savannah Space. So it's mostly speaking to their consultants, speaking to their team. They do a lot of masterclasses where if you're facing an issue, they can bring in an expert consultant to speak to you about it. Yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense. And one of the things I wanted to know is, this being your first company, obviously you don't have all the answers to everything, right? So I think this is when it helps, and like asking questions, going back to your network, trying to bring the right people on board as advisors, because most of the time people have gone through what you've gone through, right? So it's just trying to hear from them and seeing how they handled a particular situation and kind of taking learnings from that.
I think as founders, we think our problems are our own and no one has ever faced it, but it's a business, whether it's a kiosk, whether you're the biggest manufacturer in the country, it's a business. Exactly. So a lot of the problems are the same.
Yeah, and a lot of the learnings are the same.
Yeah.
Awesome, Cherie. Well, I think we're starting now to wrap up the conversation. Just as we're closing out, I want to just ask more of a reflective question.
Okay.
If you could redo this entire journey, what would you do differently?
I would doubt myself less and take even more risks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I started when I was 24, 25. I mean, I'm not old now, but 24, 25, you're like, you can do anything.
Yeah.
So I'd take way more risks, like literally just risk take every single day.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Cool. And then our final segment of every episode is doing like a quick rapid fire round. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions, just like short, snappy answers.
Okay, cool.
What's the one Savannah Space piece that feels still really emotional for you, and why?
I think it's the Cuba coffee table. I have one in my home as well.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the first designy things that we did in my workshop when I decided to open my workshop, which was a tiny room. And the collaboration that went into that piece with myself and the carpenter and varnisher, it made me realize that, wow, I have amazing people who are working here. Because that time it was only the two of them in the workshop. And they're still at Savannah Space. So that's why it's emotional to me.
That's amazing. And like 7 years down the line, it's still a piece on the catalog, which is great. Yeah. Okay, what's a book or a podcast that you would recommend to?
The podcast Acquired, where they discuss different brands and how they grew. So I think they did one on Hermes, they did one on LVMH, they did one on Mars. That podcast, because they get into the nitty gritty of this company did this, And then also there's another one called Social Currency. And she really delves in again. I think she has like insider knowledge on how particular companies grow. So I really recommend that. Book I don't actually read books for quote unquote self-help. I read books for fun as hobbies. Like
Okay.
I read novels,
Yeah.
fiction. So I don't know. Can I recommend?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's so many people that do the same.
Exactly.
Would love a recommendation.
I love the book We're All Birds of Uganda.
Okay.
I love that book. It tells the story of Uganda during Idi Amin, and it's like a love story around that time. I love the book Secret Lives of Babasegi's Wives. I think they should make that into a film. It is fantastic.
Okay.
I as you can tell, I mainly read African.
Yeah. yeah. I can tell. Which is great.
But yeah, so those are some of the two I love.
Awesome. Okay. Final question. What are you most excited about right now? Not pressured by or stressed by, but something that you're really just looking forward to and excited about.
International expansion of Savannah Space. I know it's possible. I know it. As much as I don't know how it's going to happen, I am 110% gun to my head. It's going to happen.
I love that.
Yes.
That's amazing. It's definitely going to happen. We're rooting for you.
Thank you.
And we're super excited for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cherie. This has been such a great conversation. I'm super excited for it to go live. And final thing, please tell our listeners where they can find you.
Mm-hmm. So you can find our showroom at Lavington Green Mall. It's diagonally above the Chandarana supermarket. You can also find us on social media at Savannah Space Kenya, or you can go to our website, savannahspace.com.
And for more raw and unfiltered stories, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Entrepreneurial Minds Podcast, and follow us on Instagram at entrepreneurial.minds.podcast. Thank you so much, and see you on the next one.